Disney flick. Not to get too much into it, although I will get too much into it, modern movie production is flooded with DEI requirements, meaning on-screen diversity has to be forced unnaturally into every project, and it's pretty hard to pull that off in a movie that should be about Sonic characters.
No, Cracker, let it go!
Shut the fuck up! God damn, nigga!
I don't necessarily like black people.
Is under attack because somebody covered 1 inch of a cartoon bat's back. Sonic is being censored for Western audiences. We're taking gaming back from DEI. Make gaming great again. You didn't notice Sonic was woke when he started a freedom fighter rebellion? When he said the only thing he hates is oppression. When his comic book series gave their lesbians a spin-off. When he birthed the fighting furry menace known as Sonic Fox. I thought Rude showing less skin would make anti-woke people happy, because the last time I checked, they don't even like furries. If you grew up playing Sonic games and they suddenly feel woke to you, it's because the open-minded child you were was killed by the grifting adult you grew into. Fake outrage does not have to be your daily reality. Put down the propaganda and pick up some therapy.
Hi, it's me, Tati, aka the Sailor Kirby, and oh boy, I decided to stitch this for a specific reason, and in light of recent events, what's a better place than to start talking about this besides now, and how I accidentally, low-key, kind of predicted that this would happen. Let me explain. And what I mean about I accidentally low-key predicted this, it all started with this tweet that I made about the Sonic movie. And also, this is my Twitter handle. Yes, I go by Fluffy Ninja also, but details. I posted this in April, earlier this year, and I said, you know, it's going to be really hilarious if both Amy and Rouge are in the third movie and those grifter channels claim that the Sonic movies had gone woke. It'll definitely be over if they were voiced by black or POC women, or they toned down Rouge's design. Imagine the thumbnails. I made this as a joke, and it was about the Sonic movies. I did not expect that this would actually happen for the Sonic X Shadow Generation game. And it's really funny to think that I had the hindsight to know that I knew this was going to happen. And the internet did not disappoint. And it's all this guy's fault. Why do I have him pause like that? What the heck? But I do not recommend watching this channel, as I stitched earlier some of the things he already said about the Sonic movie. He goes about a good 12 minutes talking about how good everything good is happening in Sonic right now, but he doesn't trust it all because of the wedding scene that happened in the second movie. And I can't take this guy seriously. Let me just stop. Okay, basically, here's the wedding scene. If you want to look it up, you can. Basically, the issue with the wedding scene in the second movie was that Sonic and Tails got kidnapped by the government, and these two, Rachel and Maddie, are trying to save them. Now, the reason why Sonic fans had an issue with this scene was because it took too much time away from Sonic and Tails, you know, the whole point of Sonic. But somehow that guy thought the issue with this was because these two black women exist. Sonic fans will complain about everything and anything about the scene and the humans in the Sonic movie, but it was never an issue that these women were essential. It was never brought up because these women were black. It was just only because they just took too much time away from the movie. But somehow, what's his face basically turned it into, oh, this is a DEI hiring and have to meet a woke quota or some nonsense, which is clearly this was never the case, and Sonic fans did not think this was the case. And oh god, it gets even worse from here. See, I made a tweet when this whole thing came out, basically saying being a grifter is already cringe enough, and imagine being a grifter for Sonic the Hedgehog. How embarrassing is that? And note, I made this like October 3rd. Give it a week later, a few days later, and we get this bum. And it's like, oh god, I don't even want to get... This guy's a bum. Do not engage or whatever. But this... This is what a grifter for Sonic looks like, y'all. Like, look at the non-equator that is happening here. Now, all this mess started happening all because of this game, which, very good game, highly recommend. But what essentially this is basically a remake or re-release of the original Sonic Generations, and they added shadow content, which I highly recommend playing. Oh my god, this story is so good. But basically, the original Generations came out in 2011, I believe, and they decided to rework some of the cutscenes and dialogues because some of the dialogue choices was kind of hit or miss. This was 2010 Sonic. We were in the trenches back then. But yeah, but some people, like this bum, basically had like major issues with some of the changes. Like here, Amy's not being shoved anymore, which in my opinion is a great change, because if you take the shipping aspect out of it, Sonic is supposed to be Amy's friend, so him doing this to her just makes him look like a dick. So this is just me, and because Amy's my favorite character, this was a much better change. But and also, this is probably the saddest thing of all, and because Rouge's model kind of got touched up a bit, so you don't see her back, but you can see everything else. I am not saying anything else about that. But here's the funniest part. They're comparing her old model to this one. This is from the GameCube era. You can just see the polygons here. And it's like, this is just people being creepy for the sake of being creepy. And it's like, no, she's not been censored. If she was censored, she probably wouldn't even be in the franchise anymore. If that was true censorship, I cannot talk. And then this is just a weird piece of dialogue, which Knuckles essentially calls classic Sonic fat, and it's just like, and they just made a weird name change, but the scene itself is just kind of weird altogether, because you have classic Sonic being weird about essentially being called fat, but with this change, the scene doesn't kind of make sense, but it's like, it's a weird change, it literally doesn't matter. And the other thing is that the original Sonic Generation was delisted, but you can still buy it in bundles. You can still buy this game with the original context and all. But oh my god, if you want a good laugh or an existential crisis, go through the comments of this tweet, because oh my god, it's like so pathetic and it's hilarious in a way. And again, I hate the fact that I literally called that this was going to happen. And I made another tweet. Seeing grifters trying to grift their way into Sonic is the funniest thing I've ever seen. And I'm probably going to stay on Twitter until till Twitter dies, because this is hilarious. You can't get this kind of comedy anywhere else. And it's just, oh my god, it's just so hilariously cringe. Then boom, next day you see, yeah, the thumbnails did not disappoint. Oh my god, I again do not recommend watching any of these videos, but just look, AI garbage. I don't know who this woman is, but she makes me upset just looking at her. Duh. And yeah, I thought this was going to happen for the Sonic movie. I did not think this would happen over this game of all things. I did not expect this to happen, and I find it hilarious that I literally called that this would happen. Am I clairvoyant? I do not know. This is just funny. And you know, Sonic fans, we ain't having it, any of it. It is just so funny. And here I am again. In my 31 years of living and 20-something years of being a fan of this franchise, of all the weird nonsense that's happened to this fandom, this is funny, the funniest and most horrifying thing that's ever happened. Like, it's funny because just look at it. Just look at this AI garbage. I can't get over that. But it's like horrifying. It's like, oh, these grifters literally have no bounds. Because it's like, I guarantee you this woman did not care about Sonic until she knew that she could probably make a quick buck over this. All because of one random dude. And it's just so funny to think about. Also, follow them. They're pretty good. So, why do I bring this up now? Also, I got a mic now. I'm gonna try to see how this works. But back to what I was saying. So, why do I bring this up now? Due to current events, I just kind of wanted to bring my thoughts on how it is super rare for a fandom, especially as long lasting as Sonic the Hedgehog. It is so super rare that a fandom literally just outright reject the whole grifter thing. And it's like, gives me hope for the future, because even when everything went down with the Cheeto Man being reelected, an outpour of Sonic fans were supporting their other minority fans of Black, queer, LGBT, what have you, all their other friends and other fans. And it's just so rare and very refreshing to know that even in a fandom as expansive as this blue rat, and I say blue rat lovingly, it's so rare that this kind of positive output has happened in a fandom, especially in video games where, let's be honest, the video game anime, the things that I love and you love hold dear, is full of these grifter losers. And it's just a very refreshing thing to see a fandom for a video game franchise just outright reject this, and it just makes me incredibly happy, especially in these times. And I don't know if I'm calling this a call or something, or this is just I don't have a script for this. I'm going off of consciousness and vibes alone and a prayer. I'm basically saying, other fans and fandoms of properties, y'all need to do better, especially right now. And it's just I don't know. I don't know how to feel about things. I am in a whirlwind of emotion, and I'm just very happy to think that I've been interested ever since I was like 8 or 9, that just outwardly objects to this whole thing, just the whole right wing everything. Cause hell, hold on. Back on Twitter, the official Sonic the Hedgehog Twitter account tweeted this all the way in 2016 when he was elected the first time. They tweeted this: no matter how scary the world has become, all you need is one ring. Don't ever give up. And they recently reposted this like the day after everything went down. I don't want to hear anybody saying that Sonic the Hedgehog isn't a progressive series, because it always has been. Back again, hopefully with a better camera angle. So again, I'm talking in this string of consciousness and vibes that I've been getting, and I don't know, something to me, I don't know, being as a black nerd, Sonic as a franchise has always had, I don't I don't know how to say it. And if you're like a black nerd, a certain franchise just speaks to you and you just really vibe with the whole messaging and everything that goes on, even if it's like something as trivial as like a 3D platformer for me. But I always gravitated to Sonic and to his franchise because of the whole vibes that the franchise has always given up, which a lot of black fans, especially black fans that I've talked to, always felt a weird kinship to Sonic, which is why there's always been like topics of. I mean, this has happened for any type of franchise you love, from Dragon Ball, Sailor Moon, all that good stuff, anime in general. That how black a character is to you, that's a very prevalent thing in like the nerd community. And it's just, to me, Sonic has always read to me as very, very progressively black. I mean, his first voice actor, Jaleel Wright, the OG nerd boy, was his very first voice actor. And that was, to some people, at least when my cousin talked to me about it, it was like very profound for a black, the black nerd was voicing the coolest character, a video game character, at least back in the 90s. That was very cool. I mean, I still love Jaleel White. Fight me. But yeah, there was just always been vibes I've gotten from the Sonic franchise, and this is a tangent, but I recently was thinking about in a paper that I wrote back when I was 19 in college. And I wrote how, like, the Sonic franchise, mind you, this is going to sound really dumb now, comparing this comparison, how, like, Sonic as the franchise as a whole can kind of be seen through a certain lens of, like, Sonic fighting oppression, how me as a black person kind of views Sonic fighting against oppression, the oppression that I go through as a black woman. And I've if I can ever find that paper, I'll read it out to you. But mind you, I was 19 and it's very cringe, and I wasn't a very good writer. I'm still not a good writer. I just went off like how I'm doing now, just a string of consciousness and vibes that I get from media I consume. But like, one of my favorite games of this franchise is Sonic Adventure 2 for the GameCube. It is my most treasured game. And the vibe I always got from Sonic, especially now growing up, is that Sonic, at least in that game, was very anti-police. Because mind you, there's there's tons of videos on the story of Sonic, so I'm just gonna briefly talk about it. Sonic gets mistaken for Shadow, and he gets arrested, and he spends most of the game fleeing the police for a crime he didn't commit. Now, mind you, Sonic has saved the world multiple times. So for like the cops to immediately go after him for the slightest thing of what he possibly did to break the law, that is kind of relevant, I want to say. Again, it sounds weird making this comparison, but just walk with me a little. And also in the Shadow story, where we all know, we all made the memes, his best friend and his sister Maria gets pewed by the government, and he goes on like a whole emotional journey about it, about humanity and stuff. And in the paper, I think I made a comparison on how like the government, especially like police, have literally no qualms on pewing children. The again, I was like 19 when I wrote this. This making this kind of comparison without much nuance is kind of weird, especially since Maria's a blonde child, so it's not comparable to what me and what other minority people go through. But it's like the subtext is kind of there if you want to dive into it. Again, I was 19 when I wrote that paper, and it's just kind of a weird thing. Again, I've grown up a lot, but it's like, huh, well, what other things in media that you kind of what gravitates you to it? Like the message of rebellion, being your true authentic self has always resonated with me personally, and I don't know, it's something to talk about. Okay, so these are basically my jumbled thoughts about what's going on with everything, and I felt to make this video because it's mostly relevant. Again, it's probably just me talking about my feelings on this whole political aspect through the lens of my hyperfixation of Sonic the Hedgehog. I'm just super lucky that this became kind of relevant. But I kind of want to leave this whole video to be like, fandom really needs to do better about getting rid of these right wing grifters. Be like Sonic fans. Don't let these losers infiltrate and try to deter you to something that you genuinely love. Because Lord knows how many times I heard other fans of like Star Wars, superheroes, all that type of stuff being pushed out of their love of that thing because of these losers. So I implore you, and do better, especially right now with the world being on fire. We need these types of things to cope. And I've been a person who always believed if you exist, you deserve to be represented in whatever media you consume or whatever you like to do. You deserve to exist into that what's the word I'm looking for? I don't know. You deserve to exist within that medium. Like uh, the the world isn't just straight white men. It's everyone and everything, every color, gender, identity. Just y'all need to do so much better. Again, I'm saying this as a straight black woman who has dealt with her issues of belonging, and it's just kind of nice to feel like I can be in a fandom like Sonic and never have to worry about like these terrible people trying to push me out because I apparently don't belong there because of what I am. So, yeah, y'all fandom, y'all need to do better. And I'm just a small time podcaster with with a grueling job, and I'm just trying not to die during this time. I want to enjoy my life. So, do better. And I'm going to say I'm extremely proud of the Sonic fan base, which is a phrase I never thought I would be able to say about just fandom in general. For one, not falling for this nonsense, this whole grifting nonsense, and two, being there for the most marginalized people in the fandom, because it's going to be rough and it's going to be, I'm trying to be friendly on here, is going to be hectic to say the least. So I just implore you, Sonic fans, keep doing what you're doing, even if it's just keep supporting your friends. Keep supporting. This is how you keep community. We always talking about like community on here on this app. Keep the community. Check on your friends, especially during this time. And I get. I wish I made a script for this. I guess what I'm going to leave this off with a quote that came from Sonic '06 from Shadow Story. I have many qualms with that game. I will be happy to talk about it at a future date. But the quote I would like to leave you off as, if the world chooses to become my enemy, I will continue to fight like I've always have. That was from Shadow the Hedgehog. That was from this edgy dude. I love this franchise so